A quick disclaimer for the people that may wonder, how long does it take to test negative after testing positive for COVID-19? Well, according to the chief medical officer for UNC Healthcare, Dr. David, he stated that it takes weeks to months to test negative after testing positive for COVID, a minimum of 2 weeks to test negative after testing positive. Therefore, for Tyson Fury's case, he reportedly tested positive on July 8th, which means that earliest he could test negative for COVID is July 22. And today's date is July 14th. So it's been 6 days to be exact since Tyson Fury caught the COVID. However, Tyson Fury is all around Vegas without a mask on. What happens in the dark will always come to light. So proof came out that Tyson Fury is COVID-free less than a week after he supposedly tested positive for COVID-19. But it turned out to be that Tyson Fury actually tested positive for Cap-19. Doctors say that capping is in Tyson Fury blood. It runs through his veins. In other words, Tyson Fury testing positive for COVID was all staged. As you all see above, Tyson Fury was busted shopping for luxury cars as early as today in Las Vegas without a mask on. Isn't Tyson Fury supposed to be in quarantine for at least 2 weeks? Hello? Is anybody home? What is Tyson Fury doing outside more than 6'9"? Is he trying to prove that he can go outside without a mask on in order to harm other people and get everyone sick with the COVID since he himself tested positive for COVID-19? Something is not adding up. As you guys see on Royalty Exotic Cars' verified Instagram page, they thank Tyson Fury for showing up at the shop today without a mask on. Royalty Exotic Cars stated, and I quote, "Iconic. Thanks for stopping by, champ, at the Gypsy King 101. End of the quote. Say it ain't so. Old media say it ain't so. You best believe they punch in the air right now. And some way, somehow, they losing that fight as well. All jokes aside, how are you guys going to justify Tyson Fury getting busted one-on-one? First, it was Joseph Parker. Now it's Tyson Fury. See, when you stage a lie on this magnitude, you better make sure everyone is on board, including Royalty Exotic Cars. But you can't control the people. That's why when you lie one time, you gotta continue to lie in order to cover up the previous lie. But how many times you think you're gonna be able to continue to lie without it catching up with you? I'm telling you, the new cap emoji should be Tyson Fury face. So to all of the Tyson Fury fans, aka the Deontay Wilder haters, how you guys going to explain Tyson Fury being out and about, looking 100% healthy, not wearing a mask whatsoever, shopping for luxury cars in public, when this man is supposed to be laid out on the bed from the congestion in his chest, according to Bob Arum, doing quarantine at least for 2 weeks? See, when you really get tested positive for COVID, that's what the doctors tell you to do. That's what you're supposed to do by law. But Tyson Fury, less than a week after he tested positive for COVID, he's out and about without a mask on, shopping for luxury cars in public. You cannot make this up. So how is old media, Tyson Fury, and Tyson Fury fans, aka the Deontay Wilder haters, going to explain this? To make matter worse, Royalty Exotic Cars, they actually took down the comment section on that post in particular by deactivating all of the comments, since Tyson Fury was receiving so much backlash from the fans for pulling Cap 19 in order to pull out of the Deontay Wilder Trilogy. for the 100th times. To make matter worse, as you all see above, Tyson Fury was also busted at the casino, where Christopher stated the world champion is in the building out here in Vegas. So instead of Tyson Fury being in quarantine for at least 2 weeks, he's out in the casino taking photos with fans without a mask on, not even 6 feet away. In fact, he's not even 6 inches away. He's chest to chest with Christopher taking photos. One thing for sure and 2 things for certain. This liar, this cheater, Tyson Fury, is a danger to our community. Because if he does have COVID, he shouldn't be this close up and personal with the fans. And if he doesn't have the COVID, he's a liar and a thief to a T, how Deontay Wilder described him. And for the people that may say, oh, this might be an old photo. Nope. Christopher cleared that up for the people that was claiming it was. As you all see above, Christopher stated, sorry, Brody. This was last night. No cap. I support the man. With that being stated, Tyson Fury is claiming COVID. And he's over here in the casino, gambling with his fans' life, having no cojones or courage to fight Deontay Wilder on an even playing field because he do not want to gamble with his own life since he knows Deontay Wilder wants him back in blood. Furthermore, what's next? Is old media now going to claim that Tyson Fury, just like Joseph Parker, have now tested negative for COVID 6 days after he tested positive for COVID, which is not physically possible? Man, I can't wait. To this day, I'm waiting on how old media is going to explain this. I mean, Tyson Fury have been pulling out of this fight for almost 2 years now. Remember, this trilogy should have taken place last year. But ever since Tyson Fury's method of cheating got exposed by us new media, Tyson Fury have been running for his life if it means he has to face Deontay Wilder on an even playing field. First, Tyson Fury continued to postpone the trilogy last year because he did not want to fight without a crowd, till he actually postponed the trilogy past the expiration date. Then he tried to use that in order to escape the trilogy, where he paid millions of dollars to lawyers in order to escape the trilogy, even though he knew he was in the wrong. Then when he lost the arbitration, Tyson Fury admitted that he would make way more than 50 million plus fighting Deontay Wilder, and that the trilogy is even bigger than the Anthony Joshua fight because Deontay Wilder is more popular in the United States, where Bob Arum even admitted that the tickets were selling like they were on fire, outdoing the rematch already, after they were forced to fight Deontay Wilder because the arbitration judge ordered Tyson Fury to fight Deontay Wilder or retire from the sport of boxing completely. So when everyone was under the impression that now Tyson Fury will finally fight Deontay Wilder like he's obligated to by law, out of nowhere Tyson Fury pulls Cap 19. And the crazy part is that I told everyone that would listen that Tyson Fury was going to pull the COVID card in order to pull out of the trilogy once again. I told you guys that multiple times, weeks before it actually happened, which only means one thing: a cheater will never prevail. See, you can actually cut major corners and cheat your way to success. Tyson Fury is a prime example, but the downside to that is that you're not going to remain at the top very long because the foundation is not there, and eventually you will get exposed. What happens in the dark will always come to light. And last but not least, Joseph Parker. This man really completed the puzzle. This is the icing on the cake. If there's any doubt in your mind that Tyson Fury tested positive for COVID instead of Cap 19, well, Joseph Parker did us the honor of exposing the whole Tyson Fury team, as old media had put out reports that Tyson Fury's sparring partner and Joseph Parker tested positive for COVID along with Tyson Fury and 9 other people. Few days later, Joseph Parker gets busted just like Tyson Fury, being at the Conor vs. Dustin Trilogy in attendance without a mask on despite testing positive for COVID. That's what Joseph Parker had posted on his Instagram. However, once the news spread like wildfire, Joseph Parker immediately took down all of his posts being at the Conor vs. Dustin Trilogy fight. But it was too late for that, because we live in the digital era whereby simply you deleting something is not going to get rid of it. That's when old media had to do damage control and put out reports that Joseph Parker did not test positive for COVID. But it's too late for that, because that contradicted their previous reports. Then Joseph Parker came out and stated that he did not have the COVID, where he stated, and I quote, "I found out I had COVID in the papers. Before I went to the fights, I returned a negative test." End of the quote. Now, my question is, if you found out you had COVID on the news, then after testing negative for COVID, wouldn't you want to clear that up with the press? That's like the logical thing to do. Instead, Joseph Parker was acting so suspicious that he actually took down his own posts of being at the Conor McGregor fight. Now, why would you take down the post of you being at the fight if you are COVID-free? That's highly suspicious. What Joseph Parker should have done was make another post stating that I'm COVID-free, guys, no worries. That's the natural, innocent thing to do. But what Joseph Parker did was the guilty damage control thing to do. With the facts being laid out, I actually agree, and I believe Joseph Parker does not have COVID. But I also believe Tyson Fury does not have COVID either. This is another tactic to pull out of the fight, since Tyson Fury have been pulling out of this fight for almost 2 years now. Therefore, if I'm Deontay Wilder, I will request proof of Tyson Fury testing positive for COVID from the CDC, just to expose Tyson Fury further. So drop your thoughts in the comment section below, subscribe below, and click on the notification bell to be continued on the next episode of Akhi, TV. Peace, and I'm on to the next one.